Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video, we'll talk about how to go about gearing your alt characters in the new patch of 9.1. It's also a good idea to remember that alt characters, for most of us, are not our mains or second mains. We don't have nearly as much time to invest into these characters unless you got all the free time in the world. So, first thing you want to be is efficient when it comes to getting your characters up and running. However, you do want to catch them to your main as close as you can. By efficient, we mean doing the least amount of effort for the most amount of value. We are not looking to grind for hours on our character in raids and mythic pluses in order to get the item level. We're looking to do, I guess, the most efficient content first in order to gain the most value out of it before we start getting into the grindy stuff. So let's take a look at some of the methods you have in new patch of 9.1 to gear up all of your old characters. The first thing I think you should do is head to Korthia on your main. Finishing up the campaign for your main character will allow your alts to bypass certain storylines and certain cutscenes and scenarios. The faster you can skip all that, the faster you can get into Korthia and the Maw, which are going to be some of the activities your character, your alt, can do solo without any need for groups in order to gain quite a bit of item level. It's a good idea to also take that main character or any of your other higher geared alts through Korthia and find as many treasures as you can, do as many activities there as possible, slay as many rares as you could in order to either get the currency to eventually buy the catch-up gear that you can trade to your alts, or simply just find it randomly within any of the areas of Korthia. It's also a good idea to start working on the reputations in the Korthia as well. The faster you can get the reputation of Korthia with the Death's Advance, the faster you can just start buying all these items for Stygia, which is a currency we're not really going to be using too much in patch 9.1, but there's a good chance your alt characters in your main has a bit of Stygia left over from the previous patch. It's also a good idea to visit Korthia on that alt character that you are gearing. Go to Korthia and the Maw and pick up every quest that is available. The first thing you'll be able to do in the Maw is the Covenant Assault. The Covenant Assault is a bi-weekly event, which means it will happen twice a week. It's very similar to any of the other assaults from previous expansions, like the Legion assaults, the Argosian assaults, then you have the Battle for Azeroth faction assaults and N'Zoth invasions, and it's very similar to the N'Zoth invasions in terms of how it's structured. It usually will have you do 4 quests for that Covenant with a final quest that usually gives you some story stuff or unique objectives, or maybe you'll defeat a powerful fire elemental at the end of it all, together with your Covenant assaulting the Maw at the time. And it will reward you with a chest full of catch-up gear as well as other resources. This does not take long to do at all, and doing this activity will also contribute towards some of the other things you will need to do for Maw and Korthia, but this is at least a good starter. While you are in the Maw, you might as well do the Tormentor activity. It's a new thing that they added for the Maw, where a zone will be specified where slaying enemies of that zone will fill up a bar. And once the bar is filled up, a Tormentor or a general of the jailer will reveal themselves, and defeating them with a group or a raid will also give you a chest full of catch-up gear as well as other currencies, conduits, and other goodies. But this isn't a weekly activity, so you'll have to just watch out for a Tormentor run at least once a week on any of your alt characters. Once you're done with the Maw on that alt character, head over to Korthia, and you'll want to do some story quests, particularly the ones with Archivists of Korthia, as those will eventually lead you towards the storyline where you can finally unlock a way for you to upgrade the Korthian gear. All the methods we talked about so far will reward you with specific Korthian gear that can be upgraded through research. Research being kind of like a Stygia 2.0, and there's a lot of things you can buy with research, like mounts and cosmetics and even sockets for your gear if you're at the end game level, but for your alts it's a perfect currency to upgrade this Korthian gear that's so far you've been able to acquire. Following the story to unlock this upgrade system will even reward you a little bit extra upgraded gear or upgradable Korthian gear, so that's quite a nice itemable boost from the get-go. This Korthia currency for research isn't really difficult to obtain. You just need to walk around Korthia, slay a couple rares, join a couple of events. If you see a treasure somewhere on your map, it's a good idea to loot it, because all that stuff will contribute towards research. But then you also get it in big bulks when you do any of the story quests for the Archivists of Korthia, so be on the lookout if any of those are available week by week in patch 9.1. While in Korthia, you'll also be able to pick up the Jailer's Effort quest, which is you trying to subdue Jailer's efforts in the Maw as well as in Korthia. All the activities we've talked about so far, the assaults, the tormentors, and all the dailies available in Korthia also contribute towards this bar. It's a good idea to fill out that bar on that character. It's not a bar you need to do in a single sitting, although you definitely can grind out in a single day. It is something that can be done over a week with a single tormentor, 2 Covenant assaults, a couple treasure chests here and there. Should be able to fill up the bar by the end of the week pretty easily for your alt character. On PTR, the quest reward gives you currencies for raiding. It also gives you currencies for AP. It also gives you renown, which is great for your character, but it also on PTR gave me a chest that at least had a 216 item level piece of gear. Right now on live, that's not what I'm seeing. On live, I'm only seeing reputation. So maybe as weeks go on in Korthia, as we get further in the quest line, it'll start rewarding you better loot, or maybe it's just going to have a limitation only for the first week of Korthia because seasonal stuff hasn't started just yet. Now that we covered a new way for you to gear your characters in patch 9.1, let's recap all the other methods that you can do to catch up on gear. World quests and world bosses are pretty obvious. You should be looking out for world quests if those have any upgrades for that alt character. They're usually pretty easy to do. World bosses will always give you character renown, which on a fresh new character, you're going to need renown anyway. Then we have the seasonal stuff that's going to be available. We'll start off with the PvP side of things. If you want to jump into some honor grinding in Battlegrounds, now is a good time to do it, because you're going to need honor for upgrading stuff for season 2, especially with the fact that PvP gear will have a different item level within PvP scenarios, which hopefully will make PvP gear better. So if you're someone who's planning to PvP on your alt characters, PvP and getting that started as soon as possible might be a good recommendation. If you're trying to gear through Mythic Pluses or even dungeons in general, it's a good idea to wait until the next week when Seasonal 2 stuff begins, because the item level for normal dungeons, Heroic, and even Mythic Zeros is going to be greatly increased. As well, the new Mythic Plus season will be open, and that'll be a good time to start grinding it, especially for that weekly reward chest. If you're trying to get the highest item level loot from your weekly vault for Mythic Pluses, you will have to accomplish at least a plus 15 from the Mythic Pluses. Your 14 will no longer be enough to get you the highest item level possible. Tezavesh is a mega dungeon that's also going to be open as well, with 226 item level base loot, great for catch-ups, but also the hard mode for 233s with some great trinkets and even weapons, whether by looks or whether by the effects. Though some of the hard mode dungeon fights are going to be very difficult for pug groups, so having a guild or a group of friends that wants to run this ahead of time is advised. Raiding is going to have this new domination gear with domination sockets, which are kind of like enhanced version of gems. Having 3 of the same color of gem offers like a gem bonus, which is like a set bonus. If you're planning to raid on your character, getting into the raids on normal and heroic and getting some of the domination gear and acquiring a couple of those sockets is going to be pretty much mandatory. Just like the last raid, the last 2 bosses of the new raid are going to have higher item level loot than everything else, and also this raid is sprinkled up with a bunch of gear with extra special effects like bleed bonuses and strength bonuses, so definitely be on the lookout for weapons with extra beneficial effects. I know a lot of you guys like to do World of Warcraft by pugging and LFG, but trust me, right now with all this different seasonal stuff available very soon, if you want to have an easier time on an alt character which you're not trying to main, you're not trying to invest a crazy amount of time into, getting into a guild full of good people and guildies and friends and having them maybe help carry some of your characters or even help out in some of the runs is going to be far easier than trying to entrust that into random pugs you'll meet out in LFG. Seriously, I think it's definitely worth considering trying to look for a guild at this point of the game. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if there are any other methods that I might have missed to gear up your alt characters to get them caught up. You guys let me know that in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.